90s to the early 2000s, DC was not only tight with Marvel for a while to do all their intercompany crossovers, but there was another company that DC really had some, it seemed like DC had some close ties with, that being Dark Horse. And from them, they spawned the first crossover that they did together, Batman vs. Predator, and also the two sequels, as well as others such as Batman and Hellboy, with Starman, of course, Batgirl and Ghost, Batman vs. Aliens, Superman vs. Predator, Superman Madman, and a few other characters that they had, but it was mostly with the Alien and Predator titles. Among those Alien and Predator titles was Superman Aliens. Superman Aliens was written by Dan Jurgens with Kevin Nolan as the artwork, who, by the way, Kevin Nolan's artwork reminds me a lot, and I do mean a freaking lot, of Lionel Yu. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, not at all. It's just I had to do a double take because the first time I read this and I didn't notice the artist, and I haven't seen a lot of Kevin Nolan's artwork since ever for a while. And then I looked back and was like, is this Lionel Yu? No, it's not, because it looks so almost uncanny to it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just had to do a double check. But anywho, this is an interesting story because, as the tagline says for this crossover, the ultimate hero takes on the ultimate horror. Superman Aliens is a story involving Superman and Lois Lane after discovering this piece of what appears to be Krypton falling to Earth. Well, it's a piece of something from Krypton, apparently, and they go to this space station, which is run by a woman who's part of Lex Luthor's payroll. From there, Superman believes that since this is part of Krypton, or some kind of Kryptonian colony, he decides to go by himself to investigate. In doing so, he quickly learns that the ship, the colony itself is pretty damn far away from the sun. And that's kind of the thing. There was always a MacGuffin to go with, when Superman would encounter, like in Superman vs. Predator, the Predator got all juiced up and Superman was starting to lose his power due to some kind of, I can't remember, I never read the book, I never read the book all the way through. But there was also like Justice League vs. Predators, where the Predators had all the superpowers of the League. And then there was also like Batman vs. Aliens 2, where the aliens actually could walk around and talk and use guns. It's as dumb as it sounds. But in here, this is a little plausible, because this planet that Superman goes to is far away from the sun, and slowly it's sapping away Superman's powers. It's gradually over time through the issues, and it is plausible. I mean, that's something, because when you think about it, this is a character who could easily have torn away through the aliens, and during his first encounter with one of the aliens, he manages to survive it, but then quickly realizes, I'm losing strength. Meanwhile, with the ship he used from the space station to get there, he couldn't fly. This is like when Superman could have traveled there, but apparently the whole MacGuffin thing was part of the reason why. He was afraid that he couldn't fly back to the planet because it was so far away from the sun. But he takes away some of the survivors he finds, and takes them back and sends the ship back to the space station, hoping he can reserve enough strength to fly back himself. However, the people he rescues have chestbusters in them, and they of course escape. They of course chestbust in the space station that Lois is in, and now Lois is stuck in a space station with other people she can't trust, and is stuck with the xenomorphs inside. This is also kind of interesting because the other woman in here is very interested for LexCorp. She wants to capture these xenomorphs and of what else? Use them for weapons. Now, among other things, back on the planet, Superman is trying to, he has a very big no-kill role. In fact, when he first encounters one of the xenomorphs, he pretty much says, I don't want to fight you, I'm sorry if I came into your territory. And it wasn't until a girl named Kara who saved her. Now, this is not Kara Zor-El. This is not Supergirl. This is another girl named Kara. And keep in mind, this is a time when DC wanted him to be the only Kryptonian. This is a long time before the Superman-Batman story with Supergirl in it. For Superman being literally the last Kryptonian for a while. And Superman is very, pretty much against trying to have a no kill. And this is also a good shining moment that a lot of people seem to think Superman is an idiot and depends way too much on his powers. In here, we see Superman try to be ingenuitive as possible with only his mind, with his powers slowly fading away until all that's left is just his super intelligence, and even that starts to falter. He is so much under so much physical stress, and the Xenomorph onslaught is just not helping at all. It all comes to a head when Superman has to find a way to return to Earth and, you know, get at least close to the sun, when the Queen impregnates Superman with a chestbuster that's a queen larvae. It kind of works into Superman's favor, because for those who don't know about alien, you know, mythos, if someone has a queen larva inside of them, that host can't be attacked by the Xenomorphs. It's a new queen. They don't want to, you know, destroy their hierarchy. And it's a real cool scene when Superman finally gets his powers back. He crushes it inside of he flexes his muscles to crush the creature inside of his chest, and then throws it up. Yeah, that's how he gets rid of the queen larva inside of him. But anyway, this is a great story for Lois, who, you know, finds some very ingenuitive ways to fight these creatures, and it's a very good story. It's a very interesting story to see how Superman tries to combat these aliens. But like I said, it's a MacGuffin nonetheless, but a good MacGuffin for Superman to combat the aliens. So in that regard, I really do love this comic book. If you haven't read it yet, Dan Jurgens does a great job with this crossover, and there is some good action. There's some good, just all around. You do feel afraid for Superman and Lois in all these aspects, because they are literally afraid of these creatures. They are terrified of these monsters. And the girl Kara is a very interesting character. She's a young girl whose parents were wiped out. She's pretty much like a teenage version of Newt from Aliens, but she's a little more bad. She's kind of like, yeah, I guess you could say Newt and Colonel Hicks put together. And we also explain why this colony that Superman, discovered is very much close to a Kryptonian society, and why he thought everyone on that planet were Kryptonians. And I don't want to spoil that part, but all in all, this is a very good story. If you're a Superman fan, if you're an Aliens fan, this is a definite buy. This is a definite buy for me. Dan Jurgens, like I said, does a great job telling a Superman story where he tries his best not to kill until he has to inevitably, you know, almost break that at some point. No matter how vicious these creatures are, he doesn't want to hurt them, because he understands they're just creatures of nature. This is their habit. This is their habitat, and it also explains how they got here. That's also pretty cool too. But other than that, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this review. This is a comic book I've actually been wanting to review for a while, so I figured, why the hell not? But anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this, and later.